Welcome to Game Set Smash, where the chaos is public and the tea is permanent. We're at the halfway point of Roland Garros, which means it's time to rank the French and blowtorch some tennis balls. Yeah, that's right. The Grand Slam Smash is back, baby, and so too is the blowtorch. Let's French it up! Welcome to Game Set Smash. I'm your host, Leah DeVito, the brains behind and the beauty of this magical show in front of you. And what a magical first week of Roland Garros we've had, huh? Svitolina ties Andreeva for most wins this season. Kuame sets another Rafael Nadal record. And there are officially no previous Grand Slam champions left in the men's singles draw. Firstly, Svitolina, baby, you know as well as I do that you can win this tournament. Second, shout out to Kuame, who sets his second Rafael Nadal record this year. At the Miami Open, he became the youngest player since Rafa to win a Masters 1000 level match, and now at Roland Garros, he's become the youngest player since Rafa to reach the third round of a major. Not too shabby for a 17-year-old playing in his debut slam, not to mention his home slam. And not too shabby for me either, because I'll take any excuse to say the name Kuame. What a fun sounding name, Kuame. So truly, thank you for continuing to make big moves on tour. I hope for your sake and mine that your name keeps coming up on the tennis tee radar. One more for the road, Kuame. Okay, got it out of my system. Moving on now to hot-headed tennis tea. When Sinner lost, two thoughts entered my mind. One, it's not even the higher-ranked Cerundolo. Two, this is now or never for Zverev. The last time Sinner lost in the second round of a Grand Slam was, would you look at that? 3 years ago at the Roland Garros in would you look at that? 5-set match. Cerundolo went on to win his third round match and finds himself in the second week of a Grand Slam for the first time in his career. Argentina isn't the only South American country celebrating greatness this week, as Brazil's Joao Fonseca knocks out Novak Djokovic in the third round. Joao taking out Novak made it official that there are no previous Grand Slam champions left in the men's singles draw, which means Alexander Zverev, this is it. This is your chance. The path has been paved for you to lift that title. All you gotta do is win a few more sets. That's it. You've been doing it your whole life. You might as well win a few more now. Cause really, sweetheart, it's now or never. Hearts everywhere are breaking for Haley Baptiste, who's had a knockout of a year on tour. One awkward landing during her second round match has her retiring with ACL and meniscus injuries, both of which have been confirmed by her camp following examinations. She'll be away from tour for at least 6 months. Alexander Muller and Vacherot also withdrew from the tournament with injuries, but we're going to be focusing on Alexander Blockx and Sonmez's injuries because theirs might trigger a lawsuit for the French Tennis Federation. Ooh! Both players injured themselves against the blocks at the back of the tennis courts. Alexander's was during a practice session, and Sonmez was actually during one of her doubles matches. Needless to say, they're pissed. Pardon my French. Get it? Because it's Roland Garros. We're in Paris. It's French. It's all French to me. Okay, so on the one hand, I feel bad, and I completely understand where these players are coming from. I really, truly feel for them. But on the other hand, isn't it ironic that a player named Alexander Blockx has his career halted by sponsored blocks? We'll keep following the potential lawsuit because we're suckers for tennis tea on this show, as you know. But now it's time to move on to one of the greatest pieces of information I've ever gotten to talk about on the show. Apologies in advance for the smile on my face while we talk about the Fokina Puerta coach-player drama. It's already forming, and I'm afraid it's going to stay because I'm way too excited to maintain a broadcasting face. Alejandro Davidovich Fokina was straight up abandoned by his coach last week. After winning his match in 5 sets no less, him and his team went out to lunch to get together, but Mariano Puerta, his coach, ended up leaving because he wasn't feeling well. Turns out, Mr. Puerta over there was booking a flight out of Paris and texting Fokina that he's done. But wait, it gets better. Puerta posted on Instagram him cheersing from the plane with text reading, "There's currently no coaches, fitness trainers, or physios on the tour with half of the balls that I do. Salute to that." And you know what, Puerta? Most single girls would agree with you, actually. Every guy with balls eventually ghosts anyways. Now we close the Puerta, door, on this week's tennis tee and open the door, Puerta, for this week's segment, Name Set Match. This week, we're ranking French players based on how French their names sound. We're going through Roland Garros main draw French singles players, so don't blame me if your favorite's name isn't called. It's not my fault they didn't qualify. At the top of our ranking list is this name that is so French, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce it. Pierre, of course, is in second place because he's got the double whammy of a first name, and they're both French, not to mention Herbert. It all just comes together. Louis Boisson, very French, very elegant, classic. Corentin Moutet, Gaël Monfils. Enough said. I don't know how to explain it, but these next 4 are the same level of French. Hugo Humbert, Benjamin Bonzi, Terence Atmane, and Clara Burrell. And also, these 4 are giving the same vibes. Kyrian Jacquet, Elsa Jacquemont, Quentin Hallis, Leolia Gingy. That last one is kind of giving Play-Doh, like fun to play with, not to eat. It's French sounding, but it's also kind of fun. The following players are in the middle because they have one French sounding name, not both, but I do stand by the order in which I rank them. Valentine Royer, Thomas Farrell, Hugo Gaston, Clement Tabor, Alexander Muller, Arthur Rinderknecht, Luka Pavlovic, and then we get to Giovanni Pecci Pericard, where we start with Italian, we sneeze in the middle, and then we end up at a French name. Someone explain that logic. And then, of course, there's Alice Tubello and Diane Parry. Now we reach the lower middle tier with Arthur G, Moise Kuame, and we just know I love that name so much. Moise Kuame, one more for the road, Moise Kuame. It's not French, but it's just so fun. Luca Van Asch is right below him. Then there's Fiona Farrow, which leans more to her Belgian side than her French flag that she waves next to her player name. Okay, and I don't know what this is, but this isn't French, okay? I could be convinced of its Frenchness, but it's gonna be a very hard sell. Right below her is Ksenia Efremova, and unsurprisingly, the least sounding French name award goes to Adrian Manarino. That was Name Set Match! Thank you so much for listening to my opinion of French names and how French they sound. Let's now check in with our musical guest of the evening.
I gotta change my number.
Roland Garros continues on this week. You could say that the Puerta, door, remains open as we head into the back half of these draws. Meanwhile, our show opens the Puerta, door, to our Grand Slam Smash of the Week. Last time our smash was this grand was at the start of the year when we burned the Australian Open logo. For the second Grand Slam smash, it was only right to bring back the blowtorch. What are we burning, you ask? Well, how about those balls that Puerta says is lacking on tour today? They're not using them anyway, right? I'll see you outside. Taking this with me.